Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashra. I am an autistic content creator, small business owner, and podcaster. If you are here, chances are you may be an autistic person, or you may be supporting an autistic person in your life, or wanting to know more about an autistic person in your life, so you're trying to learn about autistic experiences. One of the main reasons why I wanted to talk about this today is because I do want to share my routine, because I think it could be helpful to people who are struggling to kind of get into a groove or start up their own hygiene routine. But another primary reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I see a lot of people on social media talking about their experiences with hygiene as autistic people, and my experience actually seems to be completely the opposite of what I see commonly talked about on social media. What I often tend to see is autistic people talking about how they really struggle with maintaining a hygiene routine because of things like their sensory struggles or like executive functioning struggles. And I tend to see a lot of people saying that they can't keep up with their hygiene routine because of those things. I have an opposite experience. I am overly on top of my hygiene, probably borderline obsessive about my hygiene. For a long time, I felt like the odd one out in this experience because of how many people I see on social media talking about struggling with developing or staying on track with a hygiene routine. I felt like I didn't have a place to talk about my struggles because maybe they weren't as valid or as common as the typical ones that I saw. And I realized that I think there's a lot more people that struggle in the same way that I do that just aren't talking about it because there's just no one creating the space to talk about it. So that's what I want to do. I want to talk about the specific ways that I struggle, which is that I am really obsessive about my hygiene. So obsessive that at times it can lead to self-harming behaviors. Let's talk a little bit about this struggle. So for me, it shows up with having a lot of sensory issues around the feeling of being dirty, the feeling of not liking the way I smell, or not liking the way my mouth tastes, or feeling like there's any sort of dirtiness on me. And when I'm talking about this, I do recognize that I'm probably triggering alarm bells for obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD, for a lot of you. And that would be accurate. I have been diagnosed with OCD as well as autism. It is possible that a lot of my struggles are stemming from OCD, but let me tell you a little bit why I think that they're related more to autism and less to OCD. In my life, historically, when I have an OCD ritual or pattern of behavior, it typically comes from some sort of irrational belief that is in my mind. And so I have compulsive behaviors to try and alleviate these irrational beliefs. For example, stepping on the same spot of the stairs every day because in my mind, I have this irrational belief that if I don't step exactly on that spot, then something really horrible will happen to my family. Now I know that is irrational and not true, but the OCD is that I have this irrational thought and I have this compulsive behavior to try and get rid of the thought. The cleanliness and obsessive hygiene does not stem from any sort of irrational thought for me. So it is not contamination OCD, which is probably what a lot of you are thinking. Contamination OCD is this obsessive compulsive ritualized pattern of behavior or thoughts that stem from a fear of contamination. So a fear of catching some sort of disease, a fear of dirtiness or uncleanliness, a fear of, something being on your body or being in your area that you don't want or don't like because you're afraid of the contamination that it would present. It is not that for me. I do not have any sort of fear around this obsession. It's not stemming from that. For me, it is completely a sensory experience. It is the literal physical sensation of feeling dirtiness or feeling sweat on my skin. It is the physical sensation of feeling any layer of grime or dirtiness on my teeth or on my tongue, or feeling like my hair is greasy, or feeling like my skin doesn't smell the way that it usually does because I'm so used to the way that it normally smells. If I smell any sort of detection of like dirtiness or anything like that, it will throw me off. This obsessive hygiene is not about a fear of contamination or a fear of uncleanliness. It is about the literal sensory physical experience of not feeling clean. And it really is a feeling to me. So for example, if I haven't showered and I go out and then I come home, I can feel like a layer of dirtiness on my skin. Like I can feel some sort of like particles from the outside air that have made my skin smell different or have made my skin feel different. And I feel like I have to wash because I don't like the sensory experience of that dirty feeling. So it's not a mental thing. It's a physical sensory thing. And that is why I think it's more so related to autism and less OCD. With all of that being said, I'm not a psychologist, and so I don't know for sure. I would probably need to do a lot more research. I don't know that much about OCD, even though I do have it. I really don't know much about it. And so I would need to do a lot more research and probably consult with a professional in order to fully tease this apart and figure it out. But my preliminary thoughts upon reflecting on how OCD shows up for me historically is that this obsession with hygiene and cleanliness is more so related to my autistic sensory needs and less so to my OCD. Let's keep going on with my hygiene routine. It's very ritualized. It is really borderline obsessive, probably depending on who is viewing it. You know, some people might call it obsessive, some people might not. I do feel myself that it is pretty obsessive, but it's also maintainable and it doesn't impact my social life or anything like that really. So it's not something that I'm trying to change. It's just something that I'm aware of and that I don't want to let get any more extreme, because if it got more extreme, then it might start to really affect my life and then it would be posing an issue. But where it's at right now, it's pretty okay, aside from the fact that sometimes it involves self-harmful behaviors. So trigger warning, if you don't want to hear about that, then click out of this video. What I tend to do is I have a very specific routine that I follow in the shower, meaning like everything from, you know, when I first get in the shower, like exactly what I'm doing, every single step is completely like mentally pre-prepared, and the way it ends, everything. If you are struggling with a shower routine, I would suggest kind of trying to pre-develop a routine to follow so you know exactly what you're going to do when you get into the shower, like exactly what you need to do, all of the steps that you need to follow, knowing in advance so that you're not in there for any extra amount of time if it's unpleasant or painful for you. So I know exactly what I'm going to do. I always go into the shower. The first thing I do is I wash my hands and I wash under my nails. So I do that twice. I will take my bar of soap and I will scrub it underneath my nails. I will wash my hands, rinse them off, and then I will do it again. And then I will again clean under my nails with my nails. So like I'll scrape under every nail with my nails to clean underneath them. So again, like, is that obsessive? I don't know, maybe a little bit, but that is how I feel clean. And then from there, I will make sure that my whole body is wet, my hair, my scalp, everything is very wet, and then I will shampoo. I shampoo my hair every day, and I know that some people do not do that. Some people find that to be drying for their hair. Some people find that is not good for their scalp health. It's really a matter of what works for you. For me, I have to shampoo every day in order to feel clean. So I will shampoo my hair, I will rinse it out. Then I will put conditioner in my hair. And I tend to put it on, like, I do put a little bit here, but I try not to put it on my scalp because conditioner can clog your pores of your scalp. So I put conditioner on just like on the top layer of my hair and then also throughout my ends. And I'll let that sit for the remainder of the next period, which is cleaning my body. So I will clean my body with a bar of soap. After that, I will use liquid soap and a loofah to kind of scrub parts of my body that are more prone to acne or smells. So my armpits, my back, I will do my feet, and then I will also sometimes exfoliate using a physical body scrub, which some people don't like. Some people prefer to use a chemical exfoliant. For me, I like the physical body scrub, and I tend to only do my legs with a physical scrub. Sorry, I got scared. I thought someone was here, and the door wasn't locked. I like to use a physical scrub because that just works best for my skin, especially if I'm planning to shave my legs, because I do get a lot of like skin buildup around my hair follicles, and if I try to shave that without exfoliating, it'll cut my skin. So I always will exfoliate, especially like the day or two before I'm planning to shave my legs. And now on the topic of hair removal. I do not have any sort of schedule with how I shave. It's really just a matter of how I feel. I do not feel any need or strong desire to have hair removed from my body for any sort of aesthetic reason. It's more so just a matter of like, if I personally want to feel really smooth, then I'll shave my legs. with my armpits, shaving does not work for me. It always is irritating. So I actually have a wax kit, an at-home wax removal kit that I got off Amazon. I'll try and link it, but that works really well for my armpits, and I do that just once every few weeks whenever I feel like it. Sometimes I let my armpit hair grow out more, sometimes I don't. It's really just a matter of how I'm feeling. So there's no real structure with that. Having hair does not mean that I feel unclean or anything. It has no impact on my cleanliness. So I just shave or remove the hair whenever I feel like it, and if I don't, then I let it grow. Enough said on that. That's pretty much what I do in the shower. The other things that I do for my hygiene are I always use deodorant every single day. I do have an aluminum-free deodorant because I think that is more healthy for me and works well for me. So I will show a picture of the deodorant that I use, and I really like it. It's cheap, it works well. That's the deodorant that I use every day, especially before I'm gonna be sweaty. So if I'm going to the gym, I will definitely put deodorant on. I also am a huge fan of fragrance, as a lot of you know, and so I have a fragrance collection. I have a video about it if you want to watch more about that and see what my fragrance collection is. But I also do know that sense of smell is a major sensory sensitivity for a lot of autistic individuals. And so it's always good to be mindful about how much fragrance you're using. You don't want to overdo it because that can actually lead to really, really detrimental impacts for people around you that are sensitive to smell. So if someone is sensitive to smell, they may feel nauseated, they may get migraines, they may even have, more allergic reaction sort of effects from your fragrance if it's too powerful. So just be mindful about how much you wear. And if you're mixing fragrances, things like that, just be mindful of it. But I do wear fragrance, but I try to just do 1 or 2 sprays, especially only one if it's a strong, powerful fragrance. But I appreciate and like to use fragrance because I really feel it's important that I smell good to myself and also smell good to people around me. So I appreciate when other people make that effort as well, especially with how obsessive I am about smell. So yes, I'm always using deodorant, I'm always using fragrance. I also always moisturize my skin. And so I will include some images or videos of the products that I use, but I really like to use, I think it's the Sol de Janeiro, I forget which one, it's like the pink lotion for my body. And then I also really like to use La Roche-Posay, I think is the name of the brand, their face lotion. And it's also, I think it doubles as a body cream also if you want to use it for your body, but I use it for my face. And I will include images of all those things. They're also linked in my LTK, which is below if you want to actually buy any of these products. I also always wash my face every single morning and every single night and after I work out. So if I've gotten sweaty, I will always wash my face, and that is different for person to person. So some people don't wash their face in the morning. Like I said, I'm pretty obsessive about cleanliness, so I do wash my face every single morning, every single night, and if I work out. So sometimes I'm washing my face 2, 3, maybe even 4 times a day, and I know that is overly excessive. I don't recommend doing that, but that's what I'm saying. It is quite overdone for me in a lot of ways. The next thing is my dental hygiene. So this is something that I'm very obsessive about. So I have a very specific way that I brush my teeth. I brush my teeth using an electric toothbrush. It is set to a timer of 4 increments of 30 seconds so that I do each quadrant of my mouth for 30 seconds. After that, I will then brush my teeth again without the electric part on, just like a manual brush, just for a second pass through. I also will manually floss my teeth, and then I will also at the end use mouthwash, and then at the end of that, as the last part, I will use a dental pick, like a floss pick, and I actually put toothpaste on that and floss between every one of my teeth again. So is that obsessive? Once again, I don't know, but that's what I do. And I do that every day, every single night. In the morning, I just simply brush with the electric toothbrush and I use mouthwash, but I don't floss. That's kind of my dental hygiene. Now, the areas where there's a little bit of self-harming behavior is with how I scrub my tongue. If I see any sort of whiteness on my tongue, I will scrub it to the point that my tongue bleeds. I know that that's not healthy. I know that that's not good. And I know that I'm self-harming by doing that. And that is something I don't want to do anymore, but it's very hard to break that because it feels like my mouth is not clean. If I can physically see that it is not pink, it's very hard for me to let that go. So I will scrub my tongue until it's bleeding. Yeah, that's not a good thing to do. I don't recommend doing that, but I do recommend cleaning your tongue because that's a main source of bad breath. So if you can clean your tongue with a toothbrush or with like a tongue scraper, I definitely think that's a good idea, but also do what's best for you. Now I want to talk about some tips for making your hygiene a little bit more pleasant if it's something you struggle with. So the first thing is maybe having music on if it is something that can distract you while you're in the shower or make the entire thing a little bit more pleasant. You can use a song that is a specific length of time to time how long you're brushing your teeth for, just anything to bring you some sort of comfort. But maybe you're really sensory avoidant and having too many sounds is actually not good for you. And so even maybe using earplugs when you go into the shower, because it's not like you're not cleaning the inside of your ears, so it's okay if there's earplugs in there, I think, so that the sound is a little bit minimized. The next thing is using fragrance-free products if smell is something you're sensitive to. And I do know this is not accessible for everybody because sometimes fragrance-free products are just hard to find / more expensive. So if it's accessible to you and sense of smell is something that you have a sensitivity with, then I'd recommend trying some fragrance-free products. There's fragrance-free shampoos, conditioners, body washes, lotions, all of those things can be found fragrance-free. / if you really like smell, then trying to get some products that smell really good to you that make you feel excited to do your hygiene routine. The next thing is trying to do some sort of temperature control things. So maybe if the transition from being in the shower to then stepping out and being out of the shower, just being in the bathroom, maybe if that's really jarring to you and dissuades you from wanting to shower, maybe getting like a space heater to put into the bathroom before you shower, just to kind of set the temperature so that it's a little bit warmer in the bathroom when you get out so that the transition's easier. You can also put your clothing that you're going to put on into the bathroom so they kind of warm up as they're in the bathroom while you're showering, and also then you don't have to transition out from the bathroom naked or just in a towel, so the temperature difference might be not as harsh if you can put your clothing on before you actually exit the bathroom. Also, investing in a towel that feels comfortable to you. Certain fabrics of towels can be really unpleasant depending on your sensory needs, so trying to invest in maybe like a 100% cotton towel that might feel a little bit more comfortable on your skin after you get out of the shower instead of like microfiber or something like that, which is a very common thing that autistic people don't like. I definitely prefer 100% cotton for everything, for my clothing, for my towels. So just trying to get something that works for your sensory needs. And then the last tip I have is using a timer. If it is something that you're really, really struggling with, maybe setting a timer for however long you need. Maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's just 2 minutes if that's what you can manage, just so that you know that there is an end point. Sometimes just having the knowledge that there is an end point can help a lot with getting through the task. Ultimately, this is a very sensitive topic. It's also very personal and subjective. Doing what works for you is really the best thing. Please don't take any of my information as something you need to do or something I'm advising you to do, because I am not at all doing that. This is just what I do. And I also recognize there are a lot of aspects of this that are obsessive and that are not healthy for me and maybe not for other people as well. Things like the scrubbing my tongue so much that it's bleeding. Like, these are things that I do not suggest anyone does and that I myself want to not do, but find it hard not to because of my obsessive nature around this subject. The ultimate point of this video, like I said in the beginning, was to show that there is this whole other side to how these struggles can manifest for autistic people. It is not always just being avoidant of hygiene practices. Sometimes it is also this other side of, being overly on top of your hygiene routine and being really adherent to it to the point where it's impacting your social life, or maybe it's leading to harmful behaviors. So thank you so much for being here, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.